Hello, good morning. Today we're going to have another episode of Reality Science Looks At. Now, some of the stuff we talk about I have covered in the past in a much longer format. The idea here is to really summarize and approach certain topics from the technological angle. Again, I enter different arenas and topics and industries and areas of expertise. And I'm not suggesting that I am an expert in any of these things. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a Buddhist. But I have studied these things enough and I can relate them to my work in reality science. So it's this kind of area, this gray area, where symptoms and ideas can better be explained in this new kind of science. And I think that the idea is a better understanding or a richer understanding will give us a more complete understanding. And that something like Lyme disease that's considered to be from some kind of bite or infection or a virus or a bacteria, right? Something in your body. What reality science says is that it can be external. It's an external device that can be creating the symptoms by injecting and manipulating your own biological processes. Today, we're going to skip to spirituality. Again, it's not really spirituality in a technological reality. But we're going to talk about karma. Karma dates back thousands of years from, it's commonly used in Buddhism. It does originate from Hinduism. And Hinduism itself originates from local spiritual practices that were kind of amalgamated and formed into various philosophies or religions. So karma has been around for a long time, and it exists in some religions. So in reality science, what is karma? So my understanding of karma is that it's a kind of existential currency. That when you incarnate into the physical reality, you have a certain amount of existential currency. Now, some people incarnate in debt, and some people incarnate with an inheritance. And most people are somewhere in the middle. So, karmically speaking, we have different amounts to start with. So that's why if someone comes in with an inheritance, a surplus, karmic credit, they can get away with a lot of things before their karma catches up to them, right? Because they have a lot of credit. If someone incarnates with a lot of debt, every time they do something, bad things happen, right? There's an immediate karma. Always, they're having a very difficult life. Their life is cursed. So as a currency, you go through life spending karma as you live your lessons. And how much you get in the beginning is determined on a previous incarnation, a previous life. So if you've done some bad things in a past life and accumulated debt, you incarnate with that debt and you have to pay that off. Likewise, if you've done really well spiritually, you'll incarnate with credit and you might have an easy life. Now, before we continue with karma, we have to better define why we're here. I mean, the fundamental level, based on a technological world, this is a place of learning. It's a school. That's based on my technological model, not a spiritual model. It's a school. The idea is you incarnate and you came here to learn. So who you are, what you believe in, what you look like, is all structured to facilitate your lessons. And as you accomplish your lessons and you finish your curriculum, you might be able to change careers. You might be able to change things in your life. You might be able to do different things. That might be an indication that you have accomplished some of your goals, some of your courses on Earth. Okay, so it's a school of learning. The idea is you want to graduate. Nobody goes to school to fail, except on Earth. It's probably the only school where people come here to fail, because most people are failing. And what happens when you fail school, when you fail your course? You have to come back, right? If you don't graduate, if you fail, you can't go to the next school. You need a certain amount of credit. You need a certain amount of karma. So let's say you don't learn what you came here to learn, and you amass a lot of karmic debt. Now you don't graduate, you fail. And then you come back. So this is one of the things that's been happening for a very long time, is that we have forgotten that this is a school and we have abused our karma. We don't know how to manage our karma. So imagine I give you a credit card and there's $100,000 on the credit card. Some people will spend the $100,000 in a weekend, right? They'll buy expensive things, they'll go gambling, drugs. Some people will invest the $100,000 and they'll make investment income, they'll buy a property, they'll start businesses with the same money. So it's not how much money you have, right? It's how you use it. Same with karma. You may have a lot less, but that may be because in the past you didn't spend it properly, so they give you a lot less to work with, right? Because they know if we give you too much, you might do something stupid. There are reasons for it. I don't know all the reasons. But there's a reason why you have a certain amount of karma. Sometimes if you have only a little karma, every time you do something wrong, you get caught, you get in trouble, you feel it. And that might be there to make sure you don't fall off the path, right? You live a very mediocre life, but you came here to graduate. So your existence was designed so that you stay on the path, right? It's like the alcoholic. The alcoholic, they can't go to the bar, they can't go to the liquor store. Don't give them too much money, and so they just get by. But then they don't fall into a binge. They don't fall off the wagon. It's people who are better at managing karmic currency may have more of it. And they may go out to start companies and have employees, and they might start charitable foundations. They do all kinds of stuff with the karma. You can do a lot. But it doesn't matter from a technological point of view. It doesn't matter how much karma you have. It doesn't even matter what kind of life you live. It matters that you learn your lessons in order to graduate. That's what matters. So your karmic currency, at the end of your life, you want to have positive karma. Because any bad debts are going to carry with you. Now, let's say you're very smart and you're crafty and you do a bunch of bad things and you don't get caught. At the end of your life, they do a life review, right? Everything's recorded in a technological reality. If DNA is data storage and the world is built on DNA, we can assume that everything is recorded. And those who have access to that data, because maybe it's not our scientists, but reality scientists can access those data banks, and they can find out everything you did. And they can get a tally, how much karma do you owe. So you may have gotten away with things. So you may end your life and not get caught. But the karma remains, the debt. So then it's a matter of deciding. They have to decide what to do with your karma, because you can't graduate. So some of that karma may go to your family, to your children, who will pay off the debt. But that also means you can't go anywhere, because you are tied to your children. Your children have to pay your debt because you didn't have the courage to pay for it, right? Because you should pay your own debt. Well, I got away with it. I got away with it. It's not my fault. I didn't know. Nobody told me. I didn't know. Well, when you get a life review, you know. You did this, you did this, you did this, you didn't say sorry. You did this, you didn't get caught. So it might go to your family, you go to your children, it can go to your, maybe a society, your company, all of those things may have to pay back the karma, but that also means you can't graduate. You may come back, you may have to come back to help your family. Even in a spiritual form, right? In a non-physical form, you may be trapped. And it works the same way for good karma. If you've generated good karma, your company will prosper, your children will prosper, because they benefit from that karma. So it's not just you, like after a while, it's not just you, it's everybody around you who might get affected by this karma. At the end, you want to have positive karma. I don't know the exact amount, but you want to have enough to graduate, and you want to have learned your lessons. If you didn't learn your lessons, sometimes, at a certain point in your life, you will go through some very harsh experiences, because those are lessons you have to learn. Right? We need to learn this before you go on. And that might be a very intense period. The idea is to learn and to grow and to graduate. Whatever that is, everyone's different. In a technological reality, no one is better. In a physical reality, there are better people, there are smarter people, there are richer people, there are happier people. In a technological world, that's not true, right? Because everybody has a different lesson, everybody has a different goal, different amounts of karma. So spending your karma, right? Karma is what you do. Action, word, thought has a karmic cost, right? If you go out to harm people, hurt people, if you do bad things, if you're very selfish, all of that's karmically related. If you mistreat people, if you steal, lie, cheat, all of those things. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you have to be a saint. And this is kind of the harder discussion. In a technological world, you have to fulfill your existential obligation. And it may change. And if you are true to that, and you spend your karma wisely, then you'll be able to graduate. Again, one of the problems in recent history is that the system has convinced us we're not in a school and we're just here to suffer and be miserable or to be rich and famous, and we are tempted to do things to damage our karma. So there's a lot of temptation to damage our karma. There's a lot of opportunity to become corrupt. There's a lot of reasons not to fulfill our obligation. And what happens is we don't graduate and we have to come back. And every time you come back, you're more miserable. And some people who should have graduated a long time ago, they've been stuck with this karmic debt. And they don't know how to pay it off because they didn't know they had to pay it off. Which is why I make these kinds of discussions. You may have karmic debt going way back and you have to pay it off. How do I pay it off? Well, you have to figure that out. The first thing is to acknowledge that you have the debt, that you are an asshole. That might be one indication. There are indications. And the other thing is to recognize, to really focus on the idea that you want to graduate. To graduate, I got to get rid of this debt. I need to pay this debt. To pay the debt, I got to figure out what it is I have to do. And that could change your life, right? Because now you are trying to fulfill your obligation to make up the past so that you don't come back. Because you will come back. You'll keep coming back. And you have to do it over again. And the truth is, no one wants to do the same grade over and over again. So, spend your karma wisely in the technological reality.